Well, it's another day to stay weather aware. So I got to bring in my friend, meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees. And Brittany, can folks expect some relief outside?
Not for the next few days, Nick. In fact, I wore blue really to just try to get us to cool down a little bit, which we will as we approach the weekend, but it's not going to be much. In fact, both today and tomorrow are days to stay weather aware because of those heat index values potentially getting close to 105. For most of the Charlotte metro area and south, today we have a heat advisory. And if you have the WCNC Charlotte mobile app, you might have gotten an alert really about 20 minutes or so ago that we do have another heat advisory issued for tomorrow. So all these tips, right? Stay cool, take those breaks in the air conditioning, seek shade if you're outside, and of course stay hydrated. Biggest thing too is knowing, of course, the difference between heat stroke and heat exhaustion. Of course, the confusion, the unconsciousness, and then eventually the hot, kind of dry skin. Those are some of the big signs there of heat stroke. Of course, dizziness, thirst, and heavy sweating, and nausea just as bad. So knowing the difference though is really knowing the difference between heat exhaustion, which is severe, but heat stroke, which is a medical emergency. We have more on the breakdown of differences over on our WCNC Charlotte mobile app, as well as our website, WCNC.com, if you would like a full list. Now, it's today and tomorrow that really see the highest heat index values before, again, we eventually go down a little bit as we approach the weekend and early next week. Temperature-wise, we'll be in the 90s still, but the feels like numbers will be a little bit closer to typical for July and early August standards, which is mainly in the upper 90s to lower 100s. Now, storms over the next few days, anytime we see heat and humidity, we have the potential for not only some really heavy rain, gusty winds, but even some low and severe storms. So the next 3 days, we have a low chance. The biggest impact, as it almost always is here in the Carolinas, is gusty winds that could even topple some trees, especially based on the fact that we've seen a lot of rain lately. Our drought monitor, that looked a little bit better because of the recent rain, but I know many of you probably have saturated grounds. Just know that anytime you have winds around 40 to 50 miles per hour, even if they're not at severe status, when that ground is already saturated, oftentimes those trees can come down a little bit quicker. So this is kind of the time frame where you might want to consider looking at your yard. Of course, as we see more storms heading into August and September. Here's Doppler radar right now. Mostly just light to moderate rain here moving through Statesville there and Iredell County, right where I-77 and I-40 meet. We have a few pop-up storms now developing in western parts there of Caldwell County and a little bit further south in southern Union and down toward Lancaster. So the storms are few and far between. That's what will remain for the rest of today. But tomorrow could see some heavier rain, some gusty wind, and maybe even a little bit earlier. Here's 2 o'clock for the mountains and foothills. Notice approaching the Piedmont after 5. So this will impact your evening commute tomorrow. So it's not just the heat and humidity. Storms are kind of a number 2. That moves through by Friday afternoon and evening. But then look, on Saturday, we once again will see pop-up showers and storms, this time mainly after 2 o'clock, but actually mainly along in southeast of Charlotte. So it starts tomorrow in the mountains and foothills, but on Saturday, it'll be a little bit later on in the day and a little bit further to our south and southeast. But again, heavy rain, gusty winds, the primary impact from these storms. So kind of a 1-2 punch, right, with the heat and storms over the next few days. So just be aware of that, especially Thursday and Friday. In the tropics, we have an update here now, a high chance of seeing Debbie over the next 7 days. Consistently seeing some models track a little bit further west, so it does look more likely like this system will go into the Gulf of Mexico. Maybe not the best news for the Gulf states, but a track further west indicates a weaker storm so far, so that's always good news as we look ahead. Here's your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. I'm keeping today on there so you of course can remember to stay weather aware. We have that risk again for heat stroke, heat exhaustion again on Friday, and then we're a little bit lower Saturday, but still feeling like the triple digits, so a good idea to stay weather aware there. And then as we hit Sunday, that's the day, Nick, that you'll be so happy to see a heat index of 99 instead of 105.